Monday, 2nd of October, 2023. In the Bakhmut direction, the enemy unsuccessfully tried to restore the lost position near Andriivka. The footage shows territory around the village completely riddled with shell holes. A true representation of the scale of horror in this war. In the same direction, Ukrainian forces continued the offensive operation, inflicting losses in manpower and equipment on the occupying troops. Another successful operation was conducted by Ukrainian forces behind the enemy front lines. As a result of the strike on the Smolensk aviation plant, the production process of Kh-59 missiles was disrupted. According to confirmed data, 3 out of 4 drones hit the target, causing significant damage to the production facilities of the military enterprise of the aggressor state. In the background, the White House is more concerned about corruption in Ukraine than they say publicly. A confidential U.S. strategic document ended up in the hands of journalists. The document stresses that corruption could force Western allies to withdraw their support for Ukraine's fight against the Russian invasion, and that Kyiv cannot delay the fight against bribery. Coming back to the front line, during the execution of combat missions in the Zaporizhzhia direction, information was received about the movement of enemy units. The group of the Special Operations Forces began aerial reconnaissance in order to identify and confirm targets. The enemy decided to concentrate probable reserve units in the forest, but this was quickly discovered. The information was promptly transmitted to the artillery unit of the defense forces, and fire damage was immediately inflicted. 5 BMP, 2 trucks, and a field warehouse were eliminated. Tuesday, 3rd of October 2023. The battle intensified near Urozhain, with Russian forces launching a number of offensives. Ukrainian armed forces defeated the attacking units and burned much of their equipment. Russian command decided to commit a suicidal mission and go to the settlement on foot. The FPV drone operators spotted the enemy and did not waste time, immediately sending kamikaze drones. President Zelensky made a personal visit to the front line despite the danger. He met with the brigades carrying out combat missions in one of the hottest areas near Kupiansk. This is a great move to cheer up the soldiers and increase their motivation to fight. On the other side, Reuters published a report stating that Russia began forming Storm Z units. They fill these units with both civilian penal recruits and Russian convicted soldiers. The main purpose is to use Storm Z in extremely costly operations without caring about casualties. Storm Z units are composed of 100 to 150 personnel, are embedded within conventional Russian military units, and are deployed to the most exposed parts of the front. Wednesday, 4th of October, 2023. Ukrainian special forces landed in occupied Crimea as a part of the military operation. Stugna and Brotherhood special forces landed on the territory of the Crimean Peninsula and inflicted fire damage on the Moscow occupiers. There was a battle with the Russian forces, and there were many dead and wounded among the personnel of the invaders. The tactical goal of this operation remains unclear, since Ukrainian forces had to withdraw shortly due to extreme personnel disadvantage. FPV drones continue to be a major force in the recent frontline developments. Statistics of FPV drone strikes were posted by GeoConfirmed. Ukrainian fighters continue to prevail in terms of the number of hits on targets by a large margin. However, the Russians are also actively developing this type of weapon. According to estimates researcher Davini School, the Russian invaders lag behind Ukraine in FPV drones by 4 to 6 months, which is a considerable advantage. Thursday, 5th of October, 2023. The day was marked by a number of severe atrocities committed by the Russian side. Russia launched a missile attack on the village of Groza in the Kharkiv region. Being far from any kind of military targets, Groza is just a small, peaceful village with a population of not more than 500 people. As a result of the strike, 51 people were killed, which accounts for 10% of village inhabitants. This is a demonstrably brutal Russian crime. Horrible news came from another Ukrainian city, this time a major one, Kharkiv. Russians launched 2 missiles which landed in an average community district. 16 people were injured, including an 11-month-old child. 2 high-rise buildings were damaged, and a 3-story residential building was destroyed. According to preliminary data from experts, the Russians hit peaceful Kharkiv with Iskander-type missiles. At the same time, the White House postponed the promotion of $24 billion aid for Ukraine in Congress. It is noted that the suspension of ex-Speaker McCarthy suspended all legislative work of the House of Representatives until a new Speaker is elected. Previously, US President Joe Biden expressed concern that unrest in the House of Representatives could affect aid to Ukraine. Friday, 6th of October 2023. Russian relationship with North Korea entered a new phase, with North Korea beginning to supply artillery to Russia. It is not yet clear whether this transfer is part of a new long-term supply chain or a more limited batch. It is also unclear what North Korea receives in exchange for these weapons. On the front line, the day was marked with a number of successful military operations against Russian forces. As such, aerial reconnaissance near the village of Verbova in the Tokmak direction revealed at night an enemy detachment consisting of 11 soldiers moving in the direction of Ukrainian positions. Immediately after that, the attack drones took off on the hunt and made their move when the enemy soldiers decided to make a halt. Another major achievement was accomplished in the Kherson region. FPV drone was able to hit the Russian 120mm Flox self-propelled gun for the first time ever. This self-propelled howitzer can be used simultaneously as a self-propelled mortar and an artillery installation. This new howitzer entered service with the Russian army just a few days ago, and it was immediately eliminated by Ukrainian soldiers. Saturday, the 7th of October, 2023. Ukrainian military sources noted that Ukrainian forces continued successful offensive actions in the Zaporizhia region. There was an advance towards a tree line between Robotyne and Verbov, which indicated that the Ukrainian command is trying to gain more favorable positions ahead of the winter period. Hard conditions will result in supply requirements increase, and rainy and foggy conditions may complicate the use of drones and tactical and army aviation. That said, it is critical for the Ukrainian side to enter the winter with a tactical frontline advantage. As a result of this week, we see that the Russian occupiers have resumed the practice of systematic terrorist acts against the civilian population of the border and frontline zones. They are bringing terror not to a chaotic level, but to a systemic, targeted level in order to guarantee an increase in the number of victims among the civilian population. This may be due to the awareness of the inevitable failure at the front line and an attempt to influence the events taking place out of the combat zone. To force society to put pressure on the authorities and to provide facts for manipulation to the pacifist organizations advocating negotiations without any preconditions. In conclusion, this week Ukrainian forces have eliminated 2620 personnel, 83 tanks, 102 APCs, 163 artillery systems, 7 MLRS, 125 UAVs of operational tactical level, and 164 fuel tanks.